the quiet departure. The observation outpost circling Proxima Centauri detected the disturbance first. Commander Velk flexed his sensory tendrils, convinced the devices had failed. Yet the data streaming from the Sol system revealed power signatures that defied every established principle of physics. Gravitational ripples spread outward, like pebbles tossed into the endless sea of stars. And then, in the span of a single heartbeat, Earth simply vanished. Where the blue-green sphere had spun for eons, there was only void. No wreckage, no radiation, not the faintest particle remained. The world was gone as though it had never been. Mars traced its desolate course. Jupiter's moons continued their timeless dance. But the third planet from the Sun existed only as an absence in the cosmos. Word surged faster than light along the quantum relays. The Galactic Coalition convened within hours. Emissaries of 17 great species gathering inside Centum Station's grand chamber. The Arcturans appeared first, their crystalline shells humming with unease. The Zepyrans drifted in liquid orbs, their tentacles twisting in agitation. Even the elder custodians, seldom participants in interstellar politics, dispatched a witness. "This is without precedent," proclaimed High Chancellor Morvac of the Denibrian Imperium, his forearms cutting sharp gestures. 8 billion conscious beings do not simply disappear. We must act at once. Reconnaissance fleets reached Sol within days. What they discovered matched the long-range reports. Emptiness. Every probe, every scan, each attempt to register quantum residue yielded nothing. Earth had not been annihilated. Destruction leaves fragments. It had been erased from existence itself, plucked cleanly from reality without the faintest strand behind. The scattered human colonies on 17 worlds abruptly became forsaken children. Mars Base Alpha, with 30,000 souls, now stood as the largest surviving enclave of humanity. Humanity persisted, though diminished. The mining platforms within the asteroid belt, the science stations on Europa, and the fragile colonies on far-off exoplanets together numbered fewer than 2 million souls across the galaxy. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the coalition, speaking for what little remained of her species. Her voice held firm, though tears traced her cheeks. "We ask for aid to sustain our colonies and to search for our lost home. Earth may be gone, but humanity endures." The reactions were divided. The Varan Confederacy, ever wary of humanity's swift rise in science, claimed the disaster was self-inflicted. "They meddled with forces beyond their grasp," argued Senator Kex, his scaled hide rippling with agitation. "Their ruin is of their own design." Yet others answered with sympathy. The Etherian Collective extended safe havens on their verdant worlds. The machine minds of the Binary Accord devoted immense processing power to hunt for Earth across dimensions. But as months drifted into years, hope ebbed like fading stars. The galactic economy adjusted with ruthless precision. Routes once tied to Sol were redrawn. Earth's treasures, its resources, its singular biodiversity, its cultural wealth, its inventive genius became rare luxuries. Human art and literature soared to impossible prices as buyers realized nothing new would ever arise from the source. The survivors faced harsh decisions. Many accepted the citizenship of alien dominions, forsaking their human identity in return for protection and community. Others clung stubbornly to their heritage, carving out scattered Terran enclaves wherever possible. Marcus Rodriguez, once a cargo pilot, rose as the informal voice of the largest human refugee quarter on Kepler Station. "We will not forget," he vowed during the first memorial. "We will not let Earth's memory wither into legend. Our children will carry their heritage, even if they never stand upon the soil that birthed us." Yet the galaxy pressed onward, as it always had. Fresh conflicts erupted, new alliances formed, rivalries flared into war. The vanishing of Earth slipped into history's margins, treated as a scientific puzzle rather than a living tragedy. Corporations and empires seized what had been Earth's domain. The Altarian hegemony laid claim to the asteroid mines. The Celestial Syndicate built fortresses on Mars, forcing human colonists into crowded refugee blocks. 100 years elapsed. The generation that had known Earth aged and passed away. Their children, born beneath alien suns and raised on foreign ground, grew without ever seeing the world their ancestors had called home. Their heritage lived on only through stories and archived records. The last human schools spoke of Earth as if it were legend, teaching its history alongside myths of long-dead gods. Children grew fluent in alien tongues more easily than in their ancestral languages. Director Yuki Tanaka tended the final Earth archive aboard Station Omega-7, devoting her life to curating fragments of memory, restoring videos, safeguarding databases, and preserving culture spanning from Shakespeare to K-pop, from the pyramids to quantum mechanics. Few ever visited. Even humans seldom came, preoccupied with the endless struggle to endure in a galaxy that had moved on. The Galactic Coalition officially reclassified humanity from emerging civilization to displaced minority. The protections once granted to rising species were stripped away. Human refugees now competed for resources like any other stateless group. A few prospered through resilience and adaptation, but many more languished in poverty. Their hard-won education rendered hollow without the foundation of their lost homeworld. 5 centuries after Earth's vanishing, it had become legend. Younger races, those who took to the stars long after humanity's fall, doubted such a place had ever existed. Could there truly have been a planet where primates rose to consciousness, where beings of flesh and bone hurled themselves into space with little more than chemical fire and raw determination? It seemed absurd, the kind of parable told to inspire or to warn. The ancient archive still carried the truth. Its quantum-sealed memories preserving every fact, but truth and belief rarely aligned. To most, Earth was now a parable of unchecked ambition, a riddle with no answer, a ghost tale whispered in the dim corridors of starports. Some claimed Earth had transcended reality itself, its people evolving into higher dimensional forms. Others believed it was obliterated by a weapon so absolute it erased even the shadow of matter. Conspiracists whispered Earth had never been real at all, that humans were engineered phantoms, an experiment abandoned by unknown hands. As the millennium of loss approached, only a scattering of human enclaves still clung to their heritage. On the edge of coalition space, New Terra held 8,000 settlers who still honored Earth holidays, still taught Earth's languages, still kept alive the dream of home. Their leader, a descendant of the first settlers, she was Elelena Okonkwo, who knew Earth only through preserved recordings. "We are the children of a vanished world," she declared, during the 999th commemoration of its loss. "But we ourselves are not vanished. Earth lives within our genes, our dreams, our unbroken will to endure. The galaxy may forget, but we will not. We will always remember." Yet the cosmos spun on, indifferent to remembrance or grief. Stars flared and died. Empires rose and fell. The void where Earth had once circled became nothing more than a hazard, flagged on navigation charts as a region of unstable gravity. Pilots whispered of curses and the restless spirits of 8 billion souls, steering clear of the Sol system altogether. Then, on a day unremarkable to any calendar, exactly 1,000 years after Earth's vanishing, the void began to sing. Part 2. The Awakening Empire Captain. Zara Okonkwo was conducting a routine patrol along Sol's Edge when her instruments erupted in chaos. Granddaughter of Elelena Okonkwo, 3rd generation born without Earth, she flew a patched Krellian fighter held together by grit and prayer. The proximity klaxons shrieked as reality itself seemed to twist, bending like metal under flame. "I'm registering immense gravitational flux at Sol 3's coordinates," she transmitted, her voice taut but steady. "Something's happening, something massive." Before command could reply, it occurred. Earth returned. Not slowly, not piece by piece, but whole, immediate, absolute. One moment there was nothing. The next, a planet stood in its ancient orbit. Yet this was no Earth from memory. The world radiated power, veiled in shimmering layers of light, pulsing as if alive with unfathomable energy, great spirals of light, coiling like strands of DNA, arced outward into the void. Vast constructs orbited in defiance of gravity, angled in ways that mocked the laws of physics. Across the planet's surface, cities of radiant energy sprawled in intricate webs so luminous they could be seen from orbit. Every monitoring array within 3 sectors triggered alarms. Within minutes, the Galactic Coalition was alerted. Within hours, fleets from 7 great powers converged on Sol. The hegemony arrived first, their flagship Dominion leading an armada of 300 warships. Admiral Thex's voice thundered across all channels. Unidentified world, you have manifested within territory of the hegemony. Surrender at once or face... The message ended. Not cut, not jammed, simply gone. The Dominion froze in place, its systems dead save for life support. The entire hegemony fleet drifted helpless, like toys cast aside by unseen hands. Then gently, every vessel was pushed to the edge of the system by an invisible force. At that instant, a message unfurled across the galaxy, appearing on every display, every neural link, every quantum line at once. The voice was human, yet resonant with harmonics that even machine intelligences struggled to decipher. Greetings, neighbors. Forgive our long absence. In the Coalition's grand chamber, a figure appeared without prelude. No warp flash, no gateway, she was simply there. A woman in form, clad in a simple white robe that shimmered as though spun from starlight. Her gaze carried depths that spoke of having watched universes be born and die. I am Ambassador Ko Nakamura, she said, bowing with quiet grace. I speak for Earth. We have returned. High Chancellor Morvac, seasoned by a millennium of diplomacy, faltered. Where? How? What became of your world? Nakamura's smile was both warmly human and utterly beyond it. We slipped sideways through time. A venture into quantum tunneling failed, or perhaps succeeded, depending on view. Earth was drawn into a parallel realm, layered over yours, unseen and untouched. For 1,000 years we observed, unable to act. We could watch but not intervene. Listen but never speak. The ancient keeper delegate stirred, its ageless voice heavy with awe. For 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, Nakamura affirmed. 8 billion of us, isolated with one singular purpose, to return. Necessity birthed innovation. Innovation led to evolution. Evolution became transformation. Coalition envoys exchanged glances of dread and awe. Senator Kress, his scales paling, hissed the question on every mind. Transformation. Into what? Nakamura's eyes glimmered like collapsing stars. Into what we were always meant to be? Become! Nakamura raised her hand and the air rippled. Not holograms, not illusions, but living memories unfolded in light. Earth was named a death world because survival there was harsh. We evolved through trial, endured through unity, advanced through ingenuity. When isolation claimed us, no enemies remained. No alien rivals, no wars of conquest. Only the challenge of return. The visions shifted, centuries of panic tempered into resolve, despair transmuted into triumph, humanity merging thought with quantum intelligences, cities reassembling themselves molecule by molecule, children born who perceived 11 dimensions, engines harvesting power from the very space between atoms. We watched, Nakamura said, her voice both human and infinite. Through the veil, we observed our colonies falter and scatter. We witnessed the galaxy fracture our heritage. In the silence, we forged patience to temper power and wisdom to guide it. Chancellor Morvac's question broke the stillness. What is it you want? Recognition of sovereignty, Nakamura replied. The return of those colonies that wish to come home. And trade. A sphere appeared above her palm, galaxies of light swirling within. Medicine to reverse aging. Energy to sustain civilizations for millennia. Transit that renders distance meaningless. All offered freely, our only request, peaceful coexistence. The Voron envoy's laughter was sharp. You expect us to believe that? With such power, you could rule the galaxy. We could, Nakamura agreed softly. But we choose not to. In our exile, we learned a truth. Strength is not in conquest, but in uplift. We return not as overlords, but as neighbors who have walked a little farther down the path. Her gesture encompassed the immobilized hegemony fleet. In an instant, their systems came alive again, but transformed. Plasma batteries had become orchards, missile bays reshaped into sanctuaries. The Dominion's great cannon was now a vast hospital, its wards capable of healing thousands. Your weapons are now tools of life, Nakamura explained. You may restore them should you wish, but we ask you to try them as they are. In that moment, Captain Zara Okonkwo found herself standing on Earth. No flash of transport, no sense of passage, only presence. The city around her defied description. Towers that breathed, avenues shifting to guide her steps, air sweet as honey touched with starlight. Humanity thrived here, yet had become something more. Their bodies shone with inner radiance. Their movements flowed like song. Their words carried harmonics that spoke to heart and mind alike. A child approached, 10 years old by appearance, but with eyes ancient as galaxies. You are one of the lost, she said gently. The children who grew up without Earth. Would you like to see your grandmother's birthplace? Zara, struck speechless, only nodded. The girl clasped her hand. Suddenly they stood in Lagos. But this Lagos was reborn, history woven into transcendence. Ancient homes preserved in quantum stasis stood beside edifices of living thought. In the marketplace, merchants offered both. Traditional meals were served beside dishes of condensed starlight. People of every Earth lineage mingled, their differences cherished, their unity seamless. We preserved everything, the girl explained. Every culture, every language, every tradition, and then we evolved them. Your grandmother's recipes exist as she knew them and also as symphonies of molecular art. Nothing lost. Everything transformed. Across Earth, similar scenes unfolded. The 2 million scattered humans were invited home, each welcomed personally, each shown what their people had become. Some wept openly, others stood mute in awe. All were offered a choice: remain as they were or embrace the transformation. Marcus Rodriguez, ancient by normal human reckoning, stood in what had once been New York. The city now climbed into orbit. Towers of light connecting ground and sky. His guide, a man introducing himself as Marcus's great-great-grandnephew, explained with quiet certainty. We can restore your youth, expand your mind, grant the abilities you once dreamed of. Or you may remain as you are, living among us unchanged. There is no wrong choice. What's the catch? Marcus asked, his lifetime of hardship sharpening his doubt. The catch is choice itself, the guide replied. Power without wisdom brings ruin. We offer both, but only if you choose them. Meanwhile, the Galactic Coalition reconvened in emergency session. Earth's return had upended every political, economic, and military balance. Species that had seized human territories found their claims dissolving. Trade routes optimized for Earth's absence now demanded total redirection. Most striking of all, humanity had returned as the galaxy's foremost power. Ambassador Nakamura stood before the assembly with patient grace. We propose something simple. Earth resumes its rightful place. Our colonies are restored to those who wish to return. Trade proceeds as equals. We will share our advances gradually, allowing each civilization to adapt at its own pace. We ask nothing but peace. And if we refuse? Demanded the new hegemony representative, Admiral Thex having been recalled after his fleet's transformation. Then you refuse, Nakamura said softly. We will not force anything upon you. Earth will exist. We will trade with those who wish it and welcome any who come in peace. Those who choose isolation will have that choice respected. Some species embraced Earth's return without hesitation. The Athetheran Collective, eternal seekers of transcendence, requested immediate cultural exchange. The Binary Accord sought a technological partnership. The Ancient Keepers merely watched, as was their nature, but with an intensity unseen in millennia. Others resisted. The Vorthon Confederacy denounced Earth as a threat to galactic stability. The hegemony demanded disarmament before any negotiation. 3 minor civilizations fled entirely, vanishing into the galactic rim, convinced humanity would enslave them all. Earth's response was tailored to each. Partners received gifts that leapt their civilizations forward by centuries. Neutrals were left untouched, free to chart their own paths. Hostile actions, however, simply failed. Weapons fired upon Earth ships phased through harmlessly. Invasion fleets found their navigation systems looping them back to their own homeworlds. Director Yuki. Tanaka, kept alive through alien medicine across centuries, was brought home to witness her life's work woven into the planet's living consciousness. Every artifact she had saved, every scrap of culture was absorbed, celebrated, and reimagined. She wept as she watched Shakespeare unfold in 11 dimensions, heard Beethoven's symphonies vibrate quantum strings, tasted ancient recipes perfected at the molecular level. "You saved us," Ambassador Nakamura told her gently. "You preserved who we were, so we could remember as we became who we are." The transformation rippled outward carefully, deliberately. Humanity's children, returning from their scattered colonies, brought alien wisdoms that enriched their species further. Those who traded with Earth found their own latent potentials unlocked. Wars faded, not because Earth imposed peace, but because conflict itself became meaningless when abundance rendered scarcity obsolete. Some humans chose to remain unchanged, forming enclaves that preserved life as it was before the disappearance. They were honored as living museums, keepers of memory. Their children, upon coming of age, could choose transformation or continuity. Both paths were celebrated. Captain Zara Okonkwo stood on the observation deck of Earth's primary orbital station, a structure existing simultaneously across 7 dimensions. Below, Earth turned in its ancient rhythm, a swirl of blue, green, and white, familiar yet forever changed. Ships from 100 species came and went, not as conquerors or refugees, but as visitors, partners, friends. "Do you regret it?" her companion asked. Zara had chosen partial transformation, retaining her human form while expanding her perception beyond the limits of biology. "Regret what?" she replied. "That your family spent 1,000 years away, that you grew up without this." Zara considered as a whale of living light breached Earth's atmosphere, its song painting auroras across the sky. "Every path leads somewhere," she said softly. "Our 1,000 years apart taught us to survive. Earth learned to transcend. Now we bring both lessons together." A year after Earth's return, Ambassador Nakamura once more addressed the Galactic Coalition. The chamber itself had changed. Former enemies now sat side by side. Species that had never spoken now shared ideas. The galaxy was not united, and perhaps never would be, but it was no longer divided by fear and want. "We disappeared as one thing," Nakamura said, "and returned as another. But our essence remains. Humanity's greatest gift was never our technology or our resources. It was our refusal to accept limits. We fell sideways through time and turned it into opportunity. We found ourselves alone and chose to become more. And when we returned to find our children scattered, we gathered them home with open arms." She paused, meeting the eyes of every delegate in turn. The galaxy asks what humanity wants. The answer is simple. The same thing we have always wanted: to explore, to grow, to connect, to become. The only difference is that now, we can help you do the same. High Chancellor Morvac rose, his forearms spread in a gesture of acceptance. The Galactic Coalition formally recognizes Earth's sovereignty and welcomes humanity's return. May this 1,000-year circle lead to 1,000,000 years of progress. The vote was unanimous, even from former adversaries. Earth had returned not as conqueror, but as guide. Not with vengeance, but with gifts. The galaxy would never be the same. And for the first time in 1,000 years, that was cause for hope, not fear. As Earth settled once more into its familiar orbit, its children ventured outward again, this time not as refugees or warriors, but as bridges between what was and what could be. The 1,000-year disappearance had ended. The 1,000,000-year transformation had just begun.